I know we know roughly, but do we know exactly what the name of this podcast is?
Now, for me,
Yeah.
and maybe the audience wants to weigh in, but I like Three Lawyers, the podcast. Like when they do like So-and-so the musical. Sister Act, the musical. Three Lawyers, the podcast.
You don't think we need three lawyers eating sandwiches because we established that brand?
Well, I think we start that way, by talking about sandwiches. And, I don't want to spoil any surprises, but I believe that we're going to be trying some pretty awesome stuff today in just a little bit.
That's what I hear.
But I want to have an umbrella wide enough so that we don't have our hands tied to sandwiches. I love sandwiches, but I don't want to be tied to sandwiches.
How about, I got a good name. What if we call ourselves the podcast Joe Rogan Watches?
You are obsessed.
He's the most.
But that's more of a
I know,
catchphrase than
What?
Three Lawyers.
And I got to
the
tell
podcast.
you, I watched that Joe Rogan podcast. I have nothing against it, but it just seemed like just a regular interviewing podcast, just a one-on-one interview.
He has interesting topics that people, controversial stuff,
And he's
he
good.
falls for everything.
Does he? Well, so do I. I'm the easiest person to sell on anything. Any theory that sounds remotely viable,
No.
I think
He buys it.
Yeah.
He buys
Well, I
it.
could see that.
it's worth exploring. I mean, listen, what do we really know?
Does he buy
Very
it, or
little.
is he just being an objective interviewer and asking the questions?
You'd
He's
have
being
to.
curious.
You'd have to know.
You know
him.
what? He's a smart guy, so I don't think he really buys everything. I think he's just being
a
objective.
showman. He's doing a
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
And
But
he's
Joe-
trying to be interesting to the audience and people. I mean, there's no sense getting some loon on a show and then just shutting him off.
Exactly.
And,
Right. The
you
point
gotta
is
sort of
trying to
play
understand
like- yeah.
even the people that the more extreme they seem, the more curious I become
Right,
to
you don't
figure
have
out
to-
what what's behind all
Right.
of this.
Right.
What's
Well,
the thinking there?
we'll see, won't we?
Well, we're going to bring in some lunatics, aren't
Yes.
we? Isn't
Yeah.
that part of the
Listen,
plan?
if
It's not going
three
to
is-
end with. It's not going to end with just the three of
Three
us.
isn't enough.
If the
You know what?
if we're able to get that guy from the hospital to let out a few people, yes,
That's
we're going
right.
to get the crazies.
No, listen. I want to get. I want them. I want the crazies. I want to understand
we have
where they're
no.
coming
Remember, we have no defense against them. If they're here, the people over there could get to us
You know what's
before
funny?
any of us could do anything.
It's funny
Yeah,
you say
so-
that.
from. I don't worry about it because I figure you'd be the main target.
No,
I'm the
I
afterthought.
swear to you, about an hour ago, I went across the street, and I'll show you some pictures. I was just looking for things over there
Yeah.
that may be good on the wall behind the set. And I don't know if you remember, but I used to like to bring an oversized knife to cut the sandwiches.
Yeah.
And I was
Machete
thinking,
sometimes.
I was going to have some hooks, like a little thing here, where
with
I
the
could
knife.
get a big
Oh, yeah.
knife.
I could
and
bring in
then-
my sword.
Perfect. And then it's just,
Yeah.
and then it goes from no defense to I wish he would.
Really?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
true. You know what? It's not a terrible idea. I have
No.
2 guns in my car. Should I bring those in?
Yeah,
Just under the table,
Just definitely
pointing
bring
that
'em
way.
in.